I think it'll take that high because it's spending too much time in here. All right, so that high got taken and this high. That would have been stop out, so it was good I got out break even when that wasn't working. Uh, that wick looked really nice to me. ES left a bunch of stack lows down there. All right. So I almost got in on a market order there. Um, I didn't want to chase it, but let's see. This candle says 30 seconds to close. I wanted to get in here, but I didn't. I wanted to wait for it to come up a little more because I didn't want to try. I didn't want to chase it. But I thought it could snap back through that, and it did. I want this to close below that. Close below it. Shooting for just below the midpoint there. Just about macro too. Alright, that's my fill. Stop is about the midpoint of that wick. Want it to start going pretty fast here. But this is high resistance. It's 950. This wick isn't as important to me anymore. I really just want it to stay inside this inversion and away from this wick's midpoint. I don't want ES to go take that high though, 'cause that would not be good for my trade, I don't think. Needs to snap away from this pretty quick. I don't want it to get anywhere near that midpoint, preferably. Hmm. Really needs to go lower here. Needs to snap below this midpoint and stay below it. I don't want it to wick back up. I don't like that at all. Could still close below it. Close on it. It's just being really, really stubborn. Just want to keep an eye on the 5 minute candle. Ugh, I don't like how it's just getting stuck there. I want this to stay open and it run for these lows in this wick. All right, I'm gonna demand that it goes. It's spent enough time. This minor buy side was taken. I'm demanding it just accelerate lower. I don't want it to come back up in here at all. Spent enough time meandering in here. Been good. It just needs to snap lower now. $100 profit is right around 704. Just throw it there. Just snap through that low and use this as inversion and then run for these lows here. Really nice. That's awesome. That's really good. Um, I really want to lock in that $100. This should be a breakaway gap, but I also feel like it could come up and trade into the lower portion of this one more time. If this closes really low, it's less likely to come up into that and just use the lower portion of this. But if it closes with a wick, we'll see. If it takes this low, I'll for sure go to that $100 profit. Go ahead and head lower. So I locked in $100. I think these lows are very reasonable. This could be the measuring gap that I talked about. So now I need it to get a close below the midpoint of this wick. And then when it does that, it needs to go really fast to these lows. It needs to be low resistance. I want it to just use the low point, the lower portion of this inversion. Don't go above the midpoint. That's really nice. This is that daily for value gap, and it just went to the upper octant there, and it's rejecting off that. So it could come up and stop me out for that profit now. It really needed to keep going there. Okay, so I'm out there. Um, for what was that? $100 profit. So it could still go for those lows. But short term, whenever it came down like that and then snapped off of this, it's more likely it trades into this gap. Hmm. So now I'll give it. Got a small movement up into this wick, and then 952 started the move lower. It's unfortunate. I'm really confident in these lows, but I need to lock in profit on this because of how the week has gone. If I was already up on the week, I would feel more comfortable just staying at break even or maybe a smaller profit like 50. Um, but just want to see if yes. Yeah, that's nice. Stayed right below that. Looks midpoint. I feel like so I entered right here on the basis that this closed below this inversion again, but because it left such a large wick and it just closed a tick below it, I feel like I should have reached for a higher premium for my entry instead of just the midpoint there. If it would have closed deeper, I feel like that would have been fine for my entry. But because it closed with such a large wick, it makes sense that it came up to this one and then this key level went to the exact midpoint of it, and then that was the high and went lower. Like, that all makes sense to me. Yeah, I feel really good about these lows here. I saw this coming too once it snapped off that octant, but it's fine. It's tricky. Up to this order block, and then the low of this inversion. Realistically, should leave this high intact. It should not come up above that high up until, or it shouldn't come up above that high before these lows are taken, I don't think. I didn't even realize whenever I saw this happen off of that level there, I said that it's likely to stop me out in profit, and I didn't even realize that was 10 o'clock. So that makes even more sense. Typically 10 o'clock will offer some sort of, it'll offer continuation or reversal um, on the already existing move. So it makes a lot of sense that this came up a little bit at 10. So it's interesting. There is high resistance today, and um, an FOMC member is speaking at 10 today, and I mentioned that before the market opened, and uh, said that usually when someone like that is speaking, it can be high resistance, but I thought because of the non-farm uh, data coming out, I thought that would just overshadow that possibility and it would be clean, but it did end up having high resistance here. And we're still kind of in high resistance. It's not running to this as quickly as it should be. So it could be that sometime after 10, maybe 10:30, um, it cleans back up again. South side. Was almost able to capture the whole move. Got stopped right here, which I kind of expected to happen, but because of how the week has gone, I just needed to lock in that profit, that partial profit. Hmm. There's a 5 minute. Gonna get rid of this. 5 minute fair value gap here that was formed at 3 a.m. There's sell sides, stacked from overnight. Um, oh wow, look at that. So at the upper quadrant of the daily fair value gap, took the sell side here and reach for that 5 minute, and now we're displacing away from it. Yeah. It's after 10 o'clock. It's buy side here and up here. The rest of the buy side that it left. Daily is still bullish. I think it could run higher from here. I think it would need to overcome this. But I think this looks really good, honestly. Um, to come back up to highs. But I think this is a really key level here because it could leave this high and make it look like it's going to go higher right now. Leave the high and then come back in, offer a discount, and then maybe closer to lunch macro or maybe 10:30 it actually go. I don't think I want to get in here until it displaces above it and closes above it. So like that. That's interesting. I feel like this is an interesting spot to go ahead and get in, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. I feel like either it's gonna rip from here and I'm just gonna miss it, or I also feel like it could come back in a little bit. This 5 minute fair value gap um, here that it used is anchored to this daily octant or upper quadrant. If I go to the 5 minute, it looks like it's not anchored. It would be anchored to the 16th level in between the octant and the quadrant. So it would be anchored to that, but it is anchored to the upper quadrant because there is the volume imbalance right here that's anchored to this candle, and this candle is over top of that. So technically, this is anchored to that level, and it's below the sell side, and that created the low. This will be really interesting too, because this is a balanced price range because it traded back and forth through this a lot. Now it's an inversion in premium. And there is still all the sell side down here. So I don't want to be getting in up here where it's at. I prefer a deeper discount in here at a good time to be getting in because this could be a place that it reverses. So I'd rather be getting in down here, aiming for this, and then being able to go to break even. And then if it overcomes that, then that's great, and I can target these highs. But because it could stop here, I don't want to be getting in here because that's not great risk reward, really. Likely I'd be getting stopped out break even. Like, unless I'm taking profit in here, I'm likely going to get stopped out break even. So there's no real point unless I'm planning on getting out right there. So it's better just to wait to see if it offers a discount down here or until it gets up above that. And then I could feel more comfortable targeting highs. I feel like this was a good entry on this fair value gap because it's also anchored to that Wix midpoint and then this daily level here after taking the sell side and doing this off the 5 minute. I feel like that's all that combined makes this pretty good. Um, but up here, I just don't think it's a good place to be getting in yet. That's pretty insane. So, uh, this did end up becoming the measuring gap. I think I'm using it right. I think you're supposed to anchor the fib to the midpoint of the measuring gap. I'm pretty sure that's what you're supposed to do. And then that gives you the exact low. That's crazy. It's bright yellow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Mhm. That's insane. And I called this as the potential measuring gap when it was here because this formed over top of the midpoint of this range, this like implied dealing range. Um, so once you get that, if you were to just pull this down to the midpoint of the measuring gap, you would get the exact low. Hold on. What the fuck? So I was right in the middle of a thought, and Lindy comes up to me with a venomous spider, and she's like, "Is this a brown recluse? I can't tell." just holds it in my face as I'm like in the middle of a thought. So that was annoying. All right. So that's interesting. Ended up stopping at the high of that. They close above the midpoint, which is good. Um, Tier bullish. I just don't think it's time to like run the highs. I feel like they'll offer a discount, maybe below the slow. Hmm. This is a 5 minute inefficiency that formed on this move higher. I'd like it to stay. I'd like this to hold price if it's going to be bullish. Wow, yes, took high of day. Dipped that low, touched the high of this 5 minute, and it's coming back up. And the bodies are holding the midpoint of this, the non-farm gap. So 10 o'clock is here. I'm just thinking about the lunch macro. There isn't any liquidity formed after 10 that hasn't already been taken. This high has been taken. Really just these equal lows down here, which it could come down to that because there is that minor sell side as well that got stacked up there, and all the sell side here. ES is kind of suspicious to me. Um, because of this displacement, and it took all the buy side, like all its buy side was stacked up in this range, and it's taken that. Whereas NQ's buy side was more distributed, if that makes sense. Um, ES is above all-time high. Like I can just see ES wanting to come back down to these lows, and NQ does have stacked lows there as well. So, and it wouldn't be unreasonable if I pull up the daily chart over here. Because the daily is definitely still bullish. It closed above the midpoint. Zoom this out. This is the daily inversion fair value gap. The daily closed above the midpoint, so that's bullish. And the stacked sell side here is right below that midpoint. So it wouldn't be unreasonable for the daily chart to come back down, take the sell side, drift below the midpoint, and then have a close back up above it again, and then leave buy side. Like that wouldn't be shocking to me. Um, at the rate it's going, today's Friday. Let's check the weekly. This looks so ugly if I go to a higher time frame. So we're up on the week, and it's Friday. So it could leave the buy side for next week, and then we could have a retracement back into the weekly range. That's not unreasonable. But I could still see it taking high of day today. This just looking at this on its own, it looks bullish to me. But because the context on um, ES looks much more bearish to me. Just where it's at, just the way that it formed its structure up here seems more bearish than NQ does. And it's above all-time highs on a week that's been higher, and it's Friday, so, and there's sell side. So I just feel like there's reasons to go either direction. And I think I should be leaning lower simply because it's Friday. And then maybe next week on Monday and Tuesday, we'll come back up for the buy side. Hmm. Technically, if I'm looking at the 15-minute, this is a break in structure here. And then this is offering a premium and their sell side below the market. Didn't even check today's new day opening gap. Didn't even check that. It's just so much to remember and to balance, and I forgot about the new day gap. Didn't even consider that today, which is insane. I don't know how I forgot about that. Um, just now realizing it. Close to the open. So we haven't filled in the gap either. If it's gonna be bearish, I could see it coming up one more time to take out buy side. So I am still bullish in here. It's respecting this. Oops, I just deleted the wrong thing. Yeah, this definitely seems bullish. Just about macro as well. To the lower quadrant of the new day opening gap. there. Close below the midpoint significantly. I'm just trying to weigh out like why we might still end up going lower. Because I could really foresee it coming down to here. Maybe not today necessarily, but I could see it remaining weak. And then next week, running the buy side on the daily chart. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this non-farm gap. There's just too much on my chart. I like this one right now more. Too many things on the chart. Hmm. Well, I think I'm going to take a break because I could see it going either direction right now. I want it to, I just want to give it time to maybe give me more context or whatever. But I really like how I traded the non-farm. Um, I kind of wish I would have taken the scalp. I was confident in it coming back down, but I usually don't take trades like that. So I just didn't press the button to actually enter. Um, but that would have been a nice scalp down to the inefficiency here. And then once market opened, it played out exactly as I said it would. It was just high resistance at first, which doesn't completely shock me because there's an FOMC member speaking at 10. So that doesn't completely shock me. Um, I don't know if non-farm days are usually like this. Like there's a run, then it retraces, and then high resistance, and then another run. Like I don't know if it usually does this, or if that was just because of the 10 o'clock um, FOMC member speaking. Um, but we had the Judas higher, trapped bulls, and then ran their stops out at the lows, exactly how I said it would happen. I entered on the first presented inversion here. Once I got it close below that, I entered right here with a stop right about there. And took some drawdown, stopped at the high, came back down, and then whenever it was wicking, it was holding the midpoint of this wick and then the high of the daily fair value gap. Um, whenever, and also the non-farm gap as well, the high of that. Whenever it was wicking like that, um, I felt it was spending way too much time here and that this high was in jeopardy of getting ran. So I went to break even and got out break even right around in here. I think it may have been on this candle. I don't remember. It was somewhere in here I got out break even. That would have stopped me out. So I avoided that nicely. And then whenever this wick came in and it closed back down inside this range, I was really confident in it going lower. I almost entered here. Um, but it didn't offer. I wanted this candle to trade deeper, and I was going to try to get in up here in the upper half of this. Uh, but it only stayed up here for like seconds, so I missed that. And then by the time, I was ready, like it was already lower. So I just had to wait. It closed a tick below this. So I aimed for the midpoint. I was right below the midpoint with my entry. With a stop up above the midpoint of this wick. So right about here is where my stop was. Right about in there. Um, ended up holding. Didn't even reach the midpoint of this wick. I'll go ahead and draw that real fast. Didn't even reach that. This is a key level. This is a monthly level, this dashed purple line. That's June's monthly ranges midpoint. And that's overlapping this gap here. And then this wick. So I was right here with the stop. Went to that perfectly right at macro at 9:52. It started heading lower. And then on this candle, I was watching a 5-second chart. I was watching it kind of work the range of this candle. Based off what I was seeing on the 5-second chart, and because we were in all this high resistance and it was really kind of struggling to get through these lows, there was a moment in the middle of this candle where I went to break even. So this candle hadn't even closed yet. It was trading like right around in here. And I went to break even in that moment because I was demanding that it go ahead and run out these lows. And that was perfect, literally perfect timing with that mitigation, because right after that it ran the lows. And then I got stopped in profit for $100 profit. And then it ended up coming down to the full target right here. This was the full target. And I feel like I could have, if I was ready and like prepared for it, I think I could have taken a nice long here. But it's okay that I didn't. And now it's not doing anything. So yeah, I like how I traded this. That was good. But I'm gonna take a break now.